You're listening to iCannabisRadio.com.
All right, we're listening to another edition of Hemp Connoisseur. Back in the studio after a live broadcast of the High Times craziness on Saturday. I almost feel like we should just start at 4:20. We seem to always start just a little bit late. Traffic stinks. Our guests always get here a little bit late, and almost maybe we have to just change it and just start right at 4:20. Or 4:20. Chris says 4:21 because he has something to do at 4:20. So I have, of course, one of my favorite guests here, Jason Love from Hemp Cleans.
Thank you very much for having me back over here, David.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
It's always great to have you here, Jason. Nobody has more knowledge on hemp that I know a lot of people have knowledge on hemp, but nobody kind of conveys it as well as you do.
Thank you.
And then we have Veronica here. I'm sorry, Veronica. I don't know.
Valerie.
Valerie.
Valerie leads.
I knew that. I already said that.
Valerie Leeds and I have actually known each other since high school. So this is 27 years later. So it's really nice to have her here as a visitor and a guest to Colorado.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you. Now, what's your background, Valerie? Because everybody is pretty up to date with what Jason's been working on. So,
well, my company is called Invigorate U, the letter U, and I've been in the healing and wellness industry for 20 years, doing body work, energy therapy, basically stuff on the massage table, and then coaching and personal development, both individually, groups, all kinds of stuff like that. So anything that has to do with alternative healing, helping people have better quality lives, and that's really where Jason and I find that we can intersect in making a difference in people's lives on all different types of levels.
Right. Well, and you've been getting a pretty good crash course on hemp education or the cannabis plant as a whole, I'm guessing.
I arrived on 420, a very auspicious time to fly in. Yeah, and it's been nonstop. It's been really exciting.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. What was your impression as an outsider? You don't consume cannabis. You're just kind of learning about hemp. So what was your impression of 420?
Well, unfortunately, I flew in at 10:30 at night, so I didn't get to the event.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So I heard about it, and I've been hearing about it and having people wish me a happy 420 ever since, the whole week, basically. It's sort of been ongoing, and so that's really nice, the celebratory attitude and the camaraderie and the people really caring about community has been really the big thing that I think is exciting to me, and knowing that the people in this world really want to be connected to something greater than themselves that can make a difference and see what Jason is doing, making history and creating a space for everyone to have a level of choice that they didn't have before. Sure.
Well, and I want to kind of do a quick recap of 420 a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. Please do. There's a lot to talk about there, especially with what was left behind, if you will.
Which was cleaned up.
I did see that, but and that comes back to the community. The community came back and cleaned that up. It comes back
to community. So for those of you who didn't see this on Facebook, and I can't believe anybody didn't see this on Facebook, but I actually found out about it from Warren Edson's Facebook page, and the space where the cup was held, it was held at the Exto Center, and then at some parking lots right next to adjacent to the Exto Center, like the recreational. Actually, there was recreational and a small medical area, which is where we were. The iCannabis booth was in the small little alley medication area, and then there was a recreational area right next to that, and then there was another recreational area. And that was all outside, which was good that it was outside as far as smoking-wise. But the pictures were on Facebook from the next day, and it looked like the beginnings of a landfill. It was absolutely a mess.
It was horrific, honestly. I was shocked to see that. And a lot of people keep saying, it was the venue was supposed to do this or whatever. To me, honestly, it should have been taken care of no matter what. I don't care who is responsible. It's not my responsibility to find out who that person is. Somebody should have dealt with it, whether it was High Times or the event center itself.
Well, my thought is, we have not as a magazine thrown anything on that size. I mean, obviously we're not that big of a company yet that we could do something like that. But one of the first thoughts in my mind would always be, how can we make this as a sustainable kind of event? There were trash cans that were around the cup, but
not many. I understand.
Not many, and by the fact that my understanding is they oversold by about 5,000 tickets.
Yes.
Wow.
The line apparently was over 3 hours long.
It was over 3 hours long. In fact, I had left the cup right at around 4:00 and on Saturday. And there was still a line around the block. Yeah. And I was like, and they were closing at 5. Yeah.
Right.
So it was like, these poor people have been waiting in line for I don't know how long.
And they paid for tickets.
And they paid for tickets, and they're not going to be allowed in, which is it's just not fair. It's not cool for people. I mean, I'm sure there was a lot of people who were very upset. Of course, there were a lot of people who said, well, it was a great event. It was a great time. It was a celebration. And so there's the good and the bad, and then there's the ugly. You know, the bad, I would say, would be overbooking it. I think people over dabbing.
There was a lot of excitement, obviously, because we've passed Amendment 64 here in Colorado. So this is really the first time that this has ever happened in the state. So I could understand just the excitement level, the amount of people that came. And yeah, this is the first time issue, if you will. Mm-hmm. So it revealed things that we haven't seen before.
Now, if it was to happen again next year, then it's like absolutely. I mean, I don't think there's any excuse for leaving a mess like that anyway.
There's not, right? And that said, you know, I just want to make a note on that because there were other events going on. For example, over at Cannaval at Hood Lab, which was hosted by Adam Dunn, who's been in the hemp industry for about 20 years. And that was a fantastic event. It wasn't packed, but it was also sold out. What I found was interesting was the people that were there were the high end hash producers. They were the well known folks who've contributed to the industry, and I'm hearing that apparently they weren't really over at the Cannabis Cup, and so I found that kind of interesting.
No, I actually found the same thing. I felt like the Cannaval was kind of like the underground, like elite group of people in the cannabis industry, whereas the High Times was just everybody jumping into that mix. Yeah, and I appreciated my time at Cannaval way more than I did at my time at High Times, partially because most of the time at High Times, if I wasn't on the radio show, which was great, was trying to weave through a sea of people that you could barely move through. Because it was oversold by 5,000 plus seats, and that it just posed a lot of problems. Obviously, now the mess that was left over was absolutely horrific. Now to just give a little bit of devil's advocate, and what was said is I called a couple people up because as soon as we saw it on Monday evening is when I saw the pictures posted. I mean, it was like, well, we need to organize a cleanup effort. Now, it wasn't an original idea in any way, shape, or form. I called up
the Green Team.
I did call up the Green Team.
That's funny. I was just thinking about that.
That was the first people.
That's so cool.
It was literally the first people I called was a Green Team. And I talked.
Go ENC, Denver Relief. Thank you guys.
And for those of you who don't know who the Green Team is and what they do, Denver Relief has created the Green Team as a means of, and what they do is they do a lot of different things. Denver Relief does, but the Green Team itself was designed to basically do the cleanup after major cannabis events like the Civic Rally. And they've always done an amazing job where that Civic Center space is spotless by the time they leave. In fact, they leave it cleaner than when they found it.
Yeah, which is the way it should be.
Which is the way it should be, exactly. And that's the way. And they've done an amazing job at elevating the image of our industry, which I'm all about. I know you are as well, Jason. So I immediately called Ian at the Green Team. And Ian said, look, I know the owners of the Exto Center. They're appalled and they're ashamed at what was left over. He did say, well, a couple of things, and please post this on Facebook, that the Exto Center has already prepared to have a cleanup crew showing up, rain or snow, on Tuesday, because it did snow Monday night, and obviously that makes an even bigger mess. And they also said one of the other problems and why this probably should never have even been noticed by anybody, they said, was that there was a privacy fence that was taken down too early. And they wanted to keep that privacy fence up until everything was cleaned up. But whoever the contractor was just came, swept in, took the fences down, and then all of a sudden everybody sees this huge mess. So that was the other side of the story. And I was like, well, I want to organize this cleanup effort. And he's like, please don't. He's like, let the Exto Center do their job. So I said, okay, we won't. But other people did go do that cleanup. And I already had videos and set up for that next day, so I wasn't able to make it myself. But I do know there were plenty of people in the cannabis community who did show up, did help out the Exto Center staff to get that thing cleaned up. And it was something like, 5 to 6 dumpsters or something crazy like that to clean up that mess. Something like that.
On that note, though, there was a booth that was left up. And that was a choice by those people. I'm not going to name who they are because you can see the pictures. But
I'm not going to name it either, but there was a booth left up.
And I'm friends with those folks. Platte Valley, I will say that. It slipped. But so, and Laura, I really, I respect you as a person, and I know that you did your best at trying to communicate with everybody that was attacking you guys, if you will, about the mess. But that said, it's something that we all have a responsibility to address. I am tired a lot because I work a lot and I don't sleep much. And when we do events, that's critical. Usually if you do an event, you have to get out of the building. In this case, it looks like a little flexibility happened for some reason.
For some reason it did. And it's funny because this reminds me of something the reason why I wasn't able to help out with the cleanup on Tuesday morning is I was slated to do a video class on marketing in the cannabis industry. It was a 45-minute video class. It was already slated as a time in the morning on a website that will be made public soon. And there's going to be a lot of a who's who in the cannabis industry teaching different various consulting classes for people who are entering into the industry in other states. So they can check out this. I believe it's called cannabusiness.com.
Yes, I'm actually one of their consultants.
Well, see, I'm so honored to be in the group of other consultants that are in this. But one of the things I just want to say that I stated in this, and I remember very clearly, is if you're whether you're a dispensary owner or you want to be an edible company, whether you like it or not, you are an ambassador for cannabis.
Absolutely.
You're a representative of the cannabis industry, and you're a representative of this movement. And everything you do is being watched by the public. And so you have to make sure that whatever you do, you're representing this industry in as best a light as possible at all times. And that means all of your company, everybody who's a representative out there. And it's very important. And that's why all of us in this industry were so upset by the way things were left. And because it's like, this is making us look bad.
Yeah, this really, to me, this comes back to a simple concept, and it's the difference between givers and takers.
I love that concept.
And it's something that really means a lot to me, because the only reason I am here is because I understand that all I'm doing is carrying a message. This is not about me personally. It's about what we're trying to accomplish here. Just as Martin Luther King carried his message, and JFK, and all these, John Lennon, all these wonderful people I look up to as my heroes. And so I'm just emulating them. And because I recognize that there's a greater good that we're trying to create, that we are creating.
Yes.
And we're accomplishing. And I like to say it this way for what just happened with the DUID bill, with the bill they were trying to label us as impaired drivers, for example. That was beat by a bunch of quote-unquote stoners.
Yep.
And so, again, this stereotype word keeps getting thrown out there, and I just want to point out, I wrote a bill last year with Representative Wes McKinley. I'm co-author of the hemp bill this year. We're not lazy people, folks.
No.
We are very proactive and engaged.
No, I had a conversation with a dispensary owner yesterday, and it's a conversation I've had with many owners and many people in this industry. And he's like, well, I'm doing this, and I'm doing this, and I'm doing that. I have like 5 jobs because I'm in the medical marijuana industry. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty much what it is, because everybody thinks that, oh, you're in the marijuana industry, you must make a ton of money. I mean, they look at our magazine, they must be like, wow, you guys are made of money. And people ask us for investment money all the time. And I'm like, wait a minute, I need money.
That's on, David, on that note, that's a big issue. I just had that conversation this morning with somebody who's very, very powerful in this industry and does a lot for us in providing information and education. That said, I feel that I kind of fall in that same category. A lot of people assume that because I have relations with politics, or I published a magazine, or I did this, that, and the other thing, I was able to afford an attorney and win my case, whatever. Those are images that people look at and they assume based on that. And it's not true, folks.
No,
this industry is really based on people who love other people. It's about helping other people. We want to be there as support for the community.
And unfortunately, we're all working our asses off.
And we're working our ass off. But what really is happening, this is upside down from traditional businesses. And so it is difficult to get this going, but we're doing it because we really do believe in what we're focused on.
Well, it is. It's akin to trying to push a train as opposed to get the engine going. It takes a while to get that engine moving, but once the momentum goes, we know that it's going to be an unstoppable locomotive.
It's already going. From the perspective of an outsider, it's already really incredibly going. The fact that the Senate unanimously passed this bill is unbelievable. And somebody like me who's, just coming aboard your train, I think the conversation you're having applies to everyone, whether you're in the cannabis industry or not. And I think that the conversation needs to be integrating and our interconnectedness, whether you smoke, whether you dab, whether you eat the edibles, whatever it is, the oils, having it for medical use if you have cancer. The bottom line is the conversation needs to be opened up in such a way that we're all supporting each other. And we all recognize that consciousness as a society, as a planet, as all together, we have a level of respect for each other, and that goes to hosting events, that goes to how you conduct yourself in business, that goes to relationships, and that's really what I see, and I know that the two of you represent that and have that integrity 100%.
Well, I thank you. Very well said.
That's awesome to hear. Thank you, Valerie.
It is. It's very awesome to hear. And on such a good feel-good note, we have to take a break, and we'll come back and talk a little bit more about the 420 weekend. I don't want to get too much more into it, but I'm going to brag about how awesome our party was on Saturday. And then we need to talk about what's going on in the hemp side, because Valerie just did talk about the Senate unanimously voting for the hemp bill, which is huge. And there's also a bill that's being discussed right now in one of the subcommittees, 278, I believe it is, talking about basically that if you smoke cannabis, you're abusing your children. So I think we need to discuss a little bit about that.
That's a big one for me because, as you all know, after I lost my case, or won my case, I lost my custody of my son because of all of this.
God, yeah. So we're going to definitely get into that as well. We'll be back in just a moment. Thanks for listening to the Hemp Connoisseur Radio. River Rock Wellness, located at 4935 York Street and on the corner of 6th and Calumath, right next to Lamar's Donuts at 990 West 6th Avenue, offers in-house, award-winning organic medical cannabis flowers, concentrates, tinctures, topicals, edibles, and raw superfoods for all patients. Prices range from $160 to $240 an ounce, with member and non-member benefits including caregiver, SSI, SSDI, vets, travelers, and sponsored programs. With brands you trust like Healthy Creations, Rare Dankness, Rock Butter, Priva, Token Daily, and more. Become a River Rock patient or renew with us today and receive a $100 ounce of choice. Offer good through April 20th, 2013.
The chocolatiers at Incredibles are dedicated to crafting the finest chocolate from high-quality ingredients to ensure the greatest possible medicated edibles in the world. Consistency and quality are top priority. Lab testing on each and every batch. Rick and Josh have been making non-medicated chocolates for years for such retail outlets as Whole Foods and Vitamin Cottage. Today, we are focused on crafting our award-winning medicated incredible chocolate bars. We are professional bakers, and we believe food should be made from scratch. We guarantee your satisfaction. Have an incredible day.
Are you a runner? Are you a runner who supports marijuana legalization? Run on Grass is a group of athletes actively seeking to change our marijuana laws. We speak the truth about cannabis, bringing the message through our feet to new ears. Check out runongrass.com to find out more about us, our events, and how to join up or how to sponsor a runner. If you're in the Denver area, please join us for runs or start a group in your area. Running not your thing? Any sport can do it. On grass. Runongrass.com.
I'm Gary Johnson, and you're listening to iCannabis Radio, and I want to say, talk it up, Colorado.
Oh, yeah, let's get to talk it up, Colorado. Again, I am here with Jason Love and the lovely Valerie Lee.
I just had to echo that for you.
You just had to say that.
Thanks, guys.
And, we're kind of doing a little recap of the 420 weekend.
So how was your party? I'm really sorry I didn't make that. I was actually...
Didn't you make it?
Did I? Oh, wait, yeah, that was over at Cast. Duh!
That is how good our party was,
oh my God.
by the way.
I did make that. That was
he was there.
That was the...
That's the mark of a good party right there.
The film.
What's that?
That was the film.
That was the film?
I'm trying to remember which venue this was. Tell me.
It was at Castleman's.
Yes, so that was the American Drug War. No. That was another night.
That was another night.
Gosh, I'm confused.
Yeah.
See, it's all one big day. This is like 5 years of one day.
You're right. It is. No, we had Barrington Levy who put on an unbelievable show, and I'm not just saying that because it was our party. He really did put on an awesome show. Because usually when big stars play in like those small venues, they get up there. I mean, a lot of times they'll get up there and they'll play for like 30 minutes, and then they'll talk, and then they get off, and they're like, "Thanks, give me my paycheck." And he played for like a full hour and a half plus, hour 45 minutes, put on the full show. It was like stepping into a time warp in the reggae universe, and it was like going into old school, and it was fun. It was a really good time. We had over 900 people there.
Wow.
Great time.
It
was packed. It was a good time.
Wow.
And of course, people are all coming out of the woodwork. They want to definitely throw some more parties with us now, of course, because we will be doing probably magazine release parties every 2 months from now on.
Fantastic. It's good.
Yeah.
That's really good to hear.
Yeah, so we'll be doing more and more.
I'd like to support you guys in that one because it's in all arenas, actually, of course, but that one's a big one because it's an opportunity for education again.
Well, and that's the other idea. I mean, this one was just a straight-up party. I mean, it was like we're celebrating 420, and it's just, I mean, we didn't want to do anything political that day. It was enough of that going on, so we said this is a time for everybody.
Celebration.
It's celebration. Let's everybody let loose. And then obviously we're looking at doing different types of parties every other month or so now with a magazine release where, you know, it's going to be a good networking party. It's a great time for the patients and you know, adult use people. I hate recreational.
I like saying social use.
Social use is
instead
good.
of recreational, because it's not really recreational. It's social. We all get together, we talk. That's what this
Exactly.
is about, right?
No, that's true. I like that. I don't mind social at all. I like that.
And you know what, the phrase we use down in Florida for what we're doing with these events is edutainment. So it's education and entertainment. You bring in the music, you bring the dance, you bring in the whatever it is.
We'll do some more edutainment.
Yes, and you get educated in the process.
I like that. I like that.
Right.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
So do you mind bringing up the dab thing? Because you mentioned that earlier. I'm kind of curious to hear what you have to say about that. Because I do have some things to say about that, and I don't want to get into it now. But I'm starting to see another side.
There's this trend in the dabbing now, and I get it. And so I have friends who dab on a regular basis. I'm looking at a couple of them right now. And here's the thing I want to say about dabbing. All right, I'm not against dabbing.
No.
At all.
Yeah.
It is a great way to get a good amount of medication into your system if you require a large amount of medication especially. And also for those who are using it in a social usage kind of way, you can actually develop a pretty good tolerance where dabbing is actually the best way for you to actually medicate yourself. I love he's pushing the cannabis energy for us.
It's good stuff.
And so I don't have anything per se against the dabbing itself, but when you have an event like the Cup and people are dabbing for the first time who are coming in from out of state, out of the country, and they're trying it, and I'm seeing people take rips off of a dabber as if it's a bong.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just not how you do it. And nobody's educating them. Nobody's giving them a little bit of a warning. Right. I don't want to say nobody. There are people out there who are giving a cautionary
There are
tale.
a lot of responsible people, yeah.
Here's the thing. There was way more dabbing going on, in my view, at the High Times Cup than there was just enjoying of the flower. And, I mean, yes, if you're somebody who dabs on a regular basis, I'm sure you feel free to pipe in on this if you want, Chris or Sam, but, I mean, you can tell the difference between flavor and taste. But when you're somebody who's never done it before and you get thrown into a public setting and nobody's guiding you,
there's a social influence there. You get peer pressure, really.
You do get peer
because
pressure. Like,
a lot of these people can take these big dabs, and this is something I want to say about this, honestly, because I do have an issue with this. People, and this goes back actually before dabbing. This goes back for me in terms of holding hits, if you will. It's not healthy, folks, and it doesn't do anything for you except make you lightheaded and then start to move you towards asphyxiation if you hold your breath for too long.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And
See, I didn't even know that.
It's not real. I'm not serious about that.
You're
But I'm making fun of this in terms of the monkey research where they pumped cannabis smoke into the monkeys' faces with no oxygen, and
the monkeys suffocated and died. And they said, "See, you can die from cannabis." And it was like, "No, you can die from suffocation."
Right.
Yeah.
So what I'd like to say about that is on the other side of it, what I hear is this is really a cost beneficial a way to take your medicine because it's concentrated. You only need a little tiny pinhead.
Yes. Hence the name
doesn't
dab.
Have
just
all
a little dab will do you.
It
That's
doesn't
the
have
name.
all the plant material, and so you're absent of all this other stuff that you don't want in there in the first place. And that's why we've started vaporizing.
Yes.
That said, because it's so concentrated, you really just need a little bit.
Yes.
If you want more later, go ahead. But please, I really ask that you guys back off on this because the image, again, is to me, it's offensive, honestly.
Well, and like I ended, we were just talking about this earlier, and I'm not going to say who this person was or anything. I didn't know the person at all, and I actually made the assumption that they were from out of state, but they weren't. And they're, if you're somebody who doesn't smoke a lot at all anyway, if you start dabbing and you take ridiculously huge rips, I mean, I had to help a dude to a chair right across from the iCannabis booth. I could tell obviously that he had over dabbed. We thought there was something else, and I'm finding out more of a story on it because He was flailing his arms, which is very odd, and everyone's like, well, he must be on something else. And it was just that, like, his back, he was trying to get his shirt off, and his backpack was on his head, and it hit him in the head, and next thing you know, he thought somebody punched him in the head, and so he's flailing because he's really messed up, and he was super, super white skin, which is a very good, obvious sign that somebody's over-dabbed. And, I had to subdue him really quickly because he was a very big, strong guy. So, me and somebody else subdued him, sat him down, grabbed him some water, and this wasn't the only case of this.
No,
at the High Times. This is just one example that I happen to be directly related to.
I've seen this constantly now.
And it's something that, like, for those of us who have been touting the medicinal benefits of cannabis, and we can also tout the social benefits of cannabis as well, and we keep telling people it's not harmful, it's safe, and even with people who are dabbing, they're not overdosing, because to me overdosing means you could die from. You're not going to die from this. You can over-medicate, you can overconsume.
It's just the way it's being used.
It's the way it's being used.
That's it, really.
Plus, visually, for people who have never seen it before, it has an illicit look to it.
Mm-hmm. That was my perception, actually.
For some, you've never seen it before,
more
right?
like doing other harder types of drugs to me, and reminded me of whether it's crack or just the way it was.
Right, because you're using that butane torch, that
and that's the other question about butane.
That public image thing.
Is butane even healthy, guys? I mean, come on, seriously.
Well, that's
a big question.
That's a whole other conversation.
It sounds like we're gonna have a dab show conversation.
Yeah,
on this
maybe
one.
there needs
no. But a quick thing on the dabbing conversation as far as people who are making their own butane extracted hash. All right, there's a couple of different basic, and I'm going to be as basic as I can because I'm not an expert on this. But if you're doing it at home, the butane you're getting is not what would be considered like a lab grade butane.
Right. So it has another chemical in there, so you can smell it.
Just like you had, because propane, butane, all those gases have no odor, and because they're flammable, obviously for a very good reason, they add a smell to it so you can tell it. And propane has a different smell from butane. They add a different additive into it so you can smell it and identify it if it's leaking. Mm-hmm. And that's absolutely what we should be doing for consumers who are buying just regular butane to light up or fill up a torch or anything like that.
This is something I'd like to actually make a comment on. There's I'm very familiar with a book. It's and I'll probably get the title wrong, but it's Superfluid Extractions for the Nutraceutical Industry, if I remember the title right. And it gets into all the details. And by the way, if you're listening to this and you're a business owner and you do extractions, you may want to pick up this book if you're not familiar with it, because it has a really good array of science in there to explain how the superfluid extractions work and how they work in conjunction with similar gases, if you will, whether it's CO2 or butane or hexane and so on and so forth. But it also starts to talk about the different types of gases. Mm-hmm. So I encourage you to look into this a little bit deeper. And on that note, this is something that's not new. No. It's used in the food industry. It's used in the perfume industry. It's used in all the flavors that you get, those artificial flavors. Mm-hmm. A lot of that is created through superfluid extraction systems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, it's not that it's not safe to utilize. Right. It's just that it has to be done properly and in a controlled environment. We actually did an article on the good, the bad, and the ugly. We called it actually on concentrates in the most recent issue of the Hemp Connoisseur. And one of the things that we talked about is look. You should not be doing butane extraction at home ever.
Please no.
Ever.
I just had a friend of mine severely burned about a month ago. It toasted his forearm.
People have blown up houses doing it
in Breckenridge. Yeah.
And it's funny because we can still, in my opinion, say there's been no deaths because of cannabis in 10,000-year history, because nobody's died by directly consuming cannabis overdose. But now the problem with that I have with the butane extraction side is you can say it's indirectly related to cannabis because somebody's doing a butane extraction the wrong way out of their home. They blow up their house. They blow themselves up. And it's like that doesn't look good for everybody.
No, not only that.
I mean, obviously we don't want anybody to lose life over this.
Yeah, not only that, but I think, when you're talking about promoting this as medically beneficial, and you're making such a strong case and how this is radically going to change the lives of people and is changing the lives of people, it's really important, and this is where you guys are so important, because you're bringing information to the people, and the conversations need to be opened up where education is available, so people have awareness in how to do this in a way that's healthy and actually can be combined with other things and other lifestyles that are healthy, which is kind of where I come in.
Well, as a general rule of thumb, if you want to make your own hash, just do water and ice extraction. That's it.
On that note, there's
Thank you.
SoCo MMJ down in Colorado Springs. I'm going to mention them.
Yeah,
Lisa
love them.
Kappelman is the owner down
They're
there.
awesome.
And their hash maker makes water hash, and it is a award-winning water hash. And by the way, she doesn't use cannabis, the hash maker.
No,
Isn't that interesting?
Well, I mean, just like any scientist that might be doing something, they don't necessarily use what they're utilizing. But that said, I want to say, I have to go to bat for the people who are utilizing butane extraction at the highest levels of professionalism. Companies like River Rock off the top of
River
my head,
Rock,
the Clinic,
Top Shelf, Nicotine,
Denver Relief. Nicotine doesn't use.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry, Nick.
No,
I
Nicotine
didn't
is
mean
all
to do
about
that to you.
solventless.
You're going to yell at me for that.
Yeah,
That's okay.
he's all about solventless. But
I'm just throwing names out there.
Well,
just,
you say solventless, but it's really still using water. Nice and solvent. But those guys are using professionally lab-grade butane, which without the additives added into it.
Without the additives.
And they're purging the butane entirely from the hash before it even gets to you.
So make that the standard.
Well,
Like,
no.
guys, you know what I mean?
Is,
why don't we advocate while we're at it, advocating all these things and making it, this whole industry with certain guidelines, make that the standard rather than including the additives and all the crap that could be harmful or could potentially, if it's done the wrong way, cause a problem. Why not?
Well, as far as the industry goes, that is the standard.
Okay.
Is to use it that way. But the big thing I'm cautioning about is people doing it at home, because I've had people say this. They're like, "Oh, well, I make great butane hash at home. It gets me so high." And I'm like, "Oh, really? Are you purging it?" "Oh, well, you don't have to purge it." And I'm like, do you know what's getting you high right now? The butane.
Right.
You might as well just be huffing butane. I mean, yeah, are you getting high from the cannabis? Yes.
Sure.
But you're getting high from the butane because you're like, oh, it's so much stronger than any hash I can get a store. Yeah, because you're getting high on butane. You didn't purge it. And when I hear people say that, I just cringe. I just cringe. And I'm like, where do you live? I hope I don't live near you because I think your house is going to blow up. Because it's a dangerous thing to get involved in, and there's other ways to do it that are simpler, that don't require as much expense as the dispensaries are able to do because they are a business and they have
they're doing massive amounts too.
Exactly. So we actually have to go to a break real quick, and this was not supposed to be a dabbing converation. I'm
happy we talked about this.
I know, I am too.
Important.
It is really important, but we do want to get into talking about hemp, and we have Ryan.
Ryan Laughlin is a farmer that we will bring online any second now.
We'll be getting him on the phone very soon, and we'll be back in just a moment. He's a farmer, one of the first farmers to grow hemp in Colorado.
Right on.
So thanks for listening to us. We'll be right back.
Whether you are a commercial grower or cultivate as a hobby, No Dough Urban Garden Supply is Denver's first stop for your hydroponic grow needs. With a wide range of products including House and Garden, Botanicare, and Fox Farm, their knowledgeable staff can get you started on your first garden or help you with your well-established business. No Dough Urban Garden Supply is located in downtown Denver at 1330 27th Street, 4 blocks north of Coors Field near MMD of Colorado. They are open 6 days a week from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Call 303-296-3424 or visit them on the web at www.nodoughurbangardensupply.com.
Tired of dispensary hopping? Trying to find quality meds? Look no further and get to know Greenworks. Our shops are stocked with over 20 strains of organically grown meds, including R4, the highest tested CBD strain in Colorado. Yes, we back up our quality with testing. While Greenworks offers only the highest quality meds, we don't believe in high prices, with eighths ranging from $20 to $40 and ounces capped at $175. With 2 centers in Denver and 1 in Glenwood Springs, we're likely closer than you think. Call 303-647-5210 to find the location nearest you.
Call Cannoisseur at 1-800-420-5757 for all your insurance needs. Cannoisseur understands the risks you face each day, and we are there to protect your business and your investment. Since 2010, Cannoisseur has been serving the cannabis industry nationwide. Call Cannoisseur at 1-800-420-5757 or visit us on the web at cannoisseur.com to learn more about our insurance and risk management services. Proud member of the NCIA.
All right, we are back on the Hemp Connoisseur Radio with Jason Love from Hemp Cleans. Let's just call him the Hemp Superman. And then we also have Valerie Leeds. Say it again, Jason.
Valerie Leeds.
Valerie Leeds from Invigorate U, just the letter U. And on the phone, did we just get through, Sam? No?
We're going to buzz him now, I think.
Okay, well, we're buzzing Ryan Laughlin.
Ryan Laughlin.
And tell us a little bit about Ryan.
Well, let's frame this. So I'm going to talk a lot about hemp, I guess. And really, let me sort of put this in context. Hey, Ryan, this is Jason Love and David Maddalena from the Hemp Connoisseur magazine radio show.
Hi, Ryan. How are you? You're on the air. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How about you guys?
Excellent. We also have Valerie Leeds with us, and she's visiting from Florida. Excuse me.
Hi, Ryan.
There she is.
Welcome, Valerie.
Thank you.
And, you know, there was just a recent story on you, Ryan, and obviously that caught my attention, and obviously through talking with Jason Love about everything that's going on, and he always keeps me up to date. So I'm going to let Jason kind of give a little framework and tell a little bit about you so he can introduce you to our listeners, if that's all right.
Well, first off, what I'd like to say is really just frame what's happening with the hemp bill and where we're at. There's been a lot of press recently. Ryan was in the Denver Post a couple days ago about his project in growing industrial hemp in an agricultural format in the state of Colorado. And that was also in conjunction with Michael Bowman, who also is growing a hemp field out in Ray, Colorado. And before I get into the details with you, Ryan, and have you explain more of what you're working on. And I just saw the picture you sent me. I didn't get that up online fast enough. Thank you for sending that. That said, we just got some really great press on 9 News 2 days ago on April 24th. And basically their headline was Colorado Growers Experiment with Hemp. And their subtitle or subcategory is Experimental Hemp Farm Defies Law. It's kind of nice to hear that. So it feels like we're floating off the planet here.
Yeah.
That said, I am the co-author of HB 1099, which was sponsored by West McKinley, Representative West McKinley last year that we passed, and was signed by Governor Hickenlooper on June 4th, which was actually the first day of Hemp History Week. So that was an honor. Mm-hmm. That said, we also moved forward from there, and this gets into a really big picture story, which I'll tell down the road if we don't have time today. And I'm co-author as well on the industrial hemp bill, which will allow farmers to grow industrial hemp for commercial purposes in the state of Colorado without the feds. This is a states' rights issue to me. This is 10th Amendment stuff. This is really about our individual rights with the Constitution, what our Bill of Rights really outlines. So that said, we have passed, let's see, Senate Ag Committee unanimously. We passed Appropriations unanimously. And by the way, both those committees have written letters in support of the bill. And so it's moving forward. Plus, they're writing letters to the feds in acknowledgement of this bill. And then we just passed the Senate floor, what was that, Monday last week? Mm-hmm. Yep. And that was also unanimous. And so now we're headed to House Ag Committee. And a lot of people are saying, don't you go to House, then the Senate? Well, because this was Senate Bill, SB 13241, I have to remember these numbers because there are all these other bills that we're working on. We just defeated the DUID bill. Fantastic.
But they are trying to slip another one in there. So
they're trying to slide these things in. But, they're backhanded people.
They really are.
Politicians, politics, many, many ticks.
But you know what? I mean, how often does a bill get unanimous support?
So that's something that I am floored by. So I just want to put that in context. And Ryan, if you could please share with us where you come into the picture and why you're interested in industrial hemp.
Well, thanks, Jason, and that's great news, all that, with everything, and we will pass the House unanimously, I guarantee that. But yeah, I'm currently growing about 400 hemp plants right now into a facility, and I'm just waiting for these freeze rules to stop so we can transplant it in the ground, probably about the 5th of May, somewhere in there, the 10th. And, and then right then and there, that should be the first industrial hemp crop in about 60 years since commercial people in
Since
America.
1957.
Wow.
Right? Yeah, wow. And so you said it May 5th?
Yes, I'm hoping right around the last kind of freeze warning is about the 3rd, and we're trying to avoid a kill. So.
Well, and there's something else. I mean, what is your first plans for this hemp crop?
Probably seed harvest and collection of the seeds, and just to save them for future growth. And I'm also planning. I'm going to getting enough seed to do. Hopefully around 60 acres, 60 to 100 acres. And if everything goes as planned, that will be, possibly contracted out to other companies and along those lines, and just contract the oil after I expel it. I plan on getting an expeller and expelling our oil from a portion of the seed.
Well, and I think that's a critical component, is that you're working on the capabilities of pressing the seed for seed oil and protein powder and usage like that, which is one of the first things that we need to have, is some way to take that hemp and utilize it and refine it.
So this is, Ryan, if I can jump in here real quick, this is something that is really exciting to me, because there's a new study that was released recently from Spain that demonstrates, that hemp oil, specifically from hemp tops, because it's very high in CBD, can kill cancer. It tells cancer to kill itself, actually. Apoptosis, folks.
And that's with no side effects.
That's no side effects. That's
pretty
over the
incredible.
counter.
That's excellent. That's just one more, amazing benefit of this amazing plant. It's very exciting times for this.
So I'm sorry, I just want to clarify. They're saying taking the top part of the hemp plant and utilizing it specifically for that.
So traditionally, there are flowers on a hemp plant,
right,
and traditionally they're full of seed and all of that. Now that said, in this case, because it's the hemp strain, that flower is full of the CBDs or cannabidiol, which is not psychoactive. And by the way, as of April 1st, 2010, the CSA, the Controlled Substances Act, is curiously absent of CBD. It used to be on the scheduling list, and now it's not.
Oh, that's good. That's very good.
I don't know how it moved, but
yeah, that's amazing. I don't know
probably influence from big companies out there.
Right, I'm sure. Well, I know quite a few companies that have been looking at the CBD side on a large scale. One that's growing 20 to 50,000 in acres in China, just specifically for CBD usage. So I'm sure that if you're growing that many acreage in China, just for that reason, for pharmaceutical companies, they have a little bit more weight to pull around.
Right.
But that's okay. That's a good thing.
We'll get there.
Yeah. We're getting there. We're getting there. And Ryan, I just want to commend you for being, one of the first. You and Mike Bowman both seem to be the two right at the tip of the spear when it comes to agriculture and hemp in Colorado. And first of all, I know you're positioning yourself for some serious success in the hemp industry by doing so. But obviously, what they say about the pioneers, they're usually the ones with the arrows in their back first. So we're going to do everything we can to make sure that you don't have any arrows in your back.
We're going to stand. We're going to protect these guys.
This
is about us as a community again. We need to support our community. This is our issue.
And I'm sorry, one of my main motivators for this is that I grew up in a small community that is struggling, and I know how this will just rejuvenate the rural communities immensely. And so I'm excited to see, friends of mine have jobs again, really, to be perfectly honest.
That's the biggest part of this. We can bring a lot of jobs to the state and economic opportunity, and we can bring manufacturing and production and processing back to the state.
Well, and that's such a good point you make, Ryan, and you do as well, Jason. It's not just a plant that has all these usages. It's a plant that means it's going to require a lot of manpower and infrastructure to utilize all those usages, which means jobs for especially rural farming communities, like you were just saying, that that may be in more of a depressed or state of in a more depressed economic state. And so now you're talking about reviving rural areas in Colorado, and then obviously eventually the rest of the country.
This is something for me. This is sorry, Ryan. One thing that I found as I've been traveling the state over the last few years and speaking with farmers is, first off, I feel happy and very welcomed into the farming community. I'm honored. That really is it's an interesting community, and I'm very happy to be part of it. That said, what I keep seeing are water concerns, soil concerns, whether it's high salinity issues. And these areas, as I've driven through them, they're literally just falling apart and being blown away by the wind. And I see these pictures of these communities, and I meet people who have lived in these communities from 20, 30 years ago, and they were vibrant, and there were stores that were open. Everything was thriving. And now where we're at is it's scary. And really, I'll bring this real quick back to the Farmers Union, for example. They have a wonderful article on their website. We put this on the hempcleans.com website, and it's titled, "Shut Up and Eat." And what that means really is that that's how we treat our food. It's just eat this. Doesn't matter what's in it. We're not going to tell you, but eat it.
Right.
And we want to bring the farmers back to the table.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Ryan, I'm really, really happy to be working with you on this, and it's an honor to have met you and see your excitement and really, I have to say, you're a brave person. You really are.
Yeah, no, incredibly brave, Ryan. I want to, like I said, I already commend you. I want to do it again. We definitely want to talk to you about doing a little article on you and Mike Bowman both in the next issue of the Hemp Connoisseur magazine. So I'm definitely going to talk to you online about that if that's okay with you.
That'd be great.
And I mean, we have to go to a break in a minute, but before we do, I just want to talk a little bit about what you were saying on the drought resistant side. And coming from an agricultural standpoint,
drought tolerant, it's not resistant.
Drought tolerant, yeah, exactly. How excited are you to be able to grow a plant like hemp that is drought tolerant in a state like Colorado that's constantly battling with drought conditions?
Yeah, it's extremely exciting, and the great part is it does require less water, and every skeptic is going to be kind of proved wrong that this crop can grow in low moisture conditions and actually hold the soil in and prevent these big dust blowouts that have been happening. In fact, 2 days ago, there was a pretty substantial dust storm down there.
Wow.
And I'm 100% sure that this hemp would hold all the soil in, and even the post stand, would definitely hold the soil in and prevent these big blowouts that we have.
Ryan, this is another thing that I'm really happy that this is happening about because, and I wrote an article about this, and the Hemp Connoisseur titled it The Agricultural Apocalypse. And I talked about the dust storm that's coming. Mm-hmm. And so now to see it's here, it's coming. It's here. You're telling me it was here 2 days ago, and that's the beginning of this. Yes. What's cool about this is because you're putting that plant in the soil, we will have concrete evidence while this is happening to prove, look, that area didn't blow away.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's incredible. That's incredible. And don't forget about, the applications with hemp for food that I'm just learning all about, Ryan, because I come from a different world in terms of coaching people in food and wellness and healing. And Jason was telling me about hemp can actually be used in hot dogs, and it's one of the highest protein seeds out there, and that we can actually make a difference in the lives of children in this country right now, where so many kids are absolutely nutrient starved, and we are in big trouble as far as that goes. So you are doing such a wonderful service. I'm so excited to meet you in the near future.
This real quick, Valerie and Ryan, I just want to share one more piece that Valerie had shared with me recently, and that is that our children are not going to live as long as we do. And that's because of our food. That's because of our nutritional absence, if you will. It's because we're told to shut up and eat. Mm-hmm. And so my fascination about what's happening here and what Valerie brings to the table, no pun intended there, yes, there was, but is that she doesn't use cannabis. She doesn't really understand, like I said, she doesn't understand the hemp stuff and so on and so forth. She's learning this very quickly, but she sees that this is something that is a mutually beneficial conversation about hemp seed as well as eating properly. And whether that's eating your fruits and vegetables or your exercise or your relationships. And so she really brings this whole, I can't speak to a lot of that because I'm more of that macro guy, right?
Right. We go off on a whole nother tangent, but it's about the potential, and it's about making a difference, and it's about community. And you guys are paving the way for so much to happen. So I'm really in admiration and respect. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Well, we actually have to go to a break. We do have to.
This happened so quick.
I know, it happened so quick. We didn't even give Ryan much of a chance to talk because we're too busy telling him how great he is. And but Ryan, really, we definitely want to talk to you and get a more in-depth conversation to hear from you in the Hemp Connoisseur magazine for our June issue. So I'll probably be giving you a call in about an hour about that. Thank you so much for joining us for the segment. We really appreciate everything you guys are doing. And
I appreciate your time and everything you guys are doing as well. if it wasn't for Jason and Hemp Cleans, I probably wouldn't be half as driven as I am, so I got to give them props for sure.
Thanks, Ryan. Thank you very much.
Excellent.
It's my team. It's Linda Parker, Eric Hunter, Samantha Walsh, and the list goes on and on.
Yeah, but what I love is that we're all the warriors out there on the front lines, and you're the one who's like I said, you're at the tip of the spear right now, and you're going to pave the way to make it easier for other farmers out there to go, okay, well, these guys are doing it, I can do it too. And so thank you very much for putting your head on the so-called chopping block for the moment, but know that you got a lot of support out there, and we're all there to help protect you from that.
Well, I sure appreciate everyone's support, and thank you, guys.
Thank you, Ryan. You have a good one, and thanks for listening. We'll be back in just a moment. We got to take a quick break.
The law offices of Edson, Mayton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
Are you a runner? Are you a runner who supports marijuana legalization? Run on Grass is a group of athletes actively seeking to change our marijuana laws. We speak the truth about cannabis, bringing the message through our feet to new ears. Check out runongrass.com to find out more about us, our events, and how to join up or how to sponsor a runner. If you're in the Denver area, please join us for runs or start a group in your area. Running not your thing? Any sport can do it. On grass. Runongrass.com.
Are you a medical marijuana patient or interested in finding out how to become one? Contact Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. Conveniently located on Hamden and Tamarack in the Whole Foods parking lot behind Proof of the Pudding. Mile High Wellness offers a wide variety of edibles, hashes, and some of Colorado's top strains. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. 3525 South Tamarack, Suite 110, on the corner of Hamden and Tamarack. 720-382-8516. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern.
You're listening to iCannabisRadio.com.
All right, we are back for our final segment of the Hemp Connoisseur Radio. God, I think we need to do this for 2 hours. 1 hour just goes by so fast.
I do see that as we move forward with all of this in the hemp and ganja world.
Yeah.
I'm starting to say ganja now, right? And that's because I think cannabis is the umbrella of everything, and ganja really separates things.
That's a good point. Yeah, you got ganja
it's
and then you got
respect.
hemp.
It's respect,
yeah.
Rastafari kind of.
So. You're right. Well, and it's always difficult because I don't like to use the word marijuana.
It's racist.
It is racist, actually. People don't realize that. It's like the N word of cannabis. I mean, nobody's accepted it like that yet, but that's the way I look at it. But then I can confuse people too, because sometimes I'll say cannabis and then I'll say hemp, but hemp is cannabis as well. So it's
and
that's a whole other conversation.
That's another issue because around the globe they use hemp in different contexts as well.
Yes, they do.
Not everybody even knows it's the same plant, guys.
Well, which
is amazing.
A lot of people don't. I mean,
we're learning.
And I don't want to get too far into it, but before cannabis was called marijuana, it became illegal, everything was referred to as either cannabis or hemp. Mm-hmm. And there was industrial hemp or there was medical hemp.
Wow.
I mean, it was being used by veterinarians as a pain reliever for animals for a long time.
No way.
And it's funny because I just heard this recently that they were saying, like chocolate and grapes are poison to dogs, so is cannabis. And I was like, are you kidding me?
There's a veterinarian who is working on a patch for dogs that is a cannabis THC patch for hip dysplasia issues. So a lot of our dogs have problems because they've been bred for the look.
Yep.
Fortunately, my dog is a functional dog.
Yes. But, that's a whole other conversation, and I really don't want to get into that right now because I have both of you in the studio, and I want to take full advantage of what the two of you have been working on. Because, Valerie, you already alluded to the fact that you're learning more and more about cannabis and hemp, and, you're a wellness and food consultant. And so it's kind of fun that we're educating you a little bit on the power of hemp protein.
Right.
And
omega 3s and 6s and 9s. And
yes.
And so what have you been learning, and something's kind of been developed out of this conversation in the last, bit of time that you guys have been talking about this.
Yeah, well, it's really amazing. Actually, I did already know about the seed. I've been putting that in my smoothies as a superfood for a while. I have a friend actually who owns a superfood company called vivapura.com, and he's got some awesome product. And I'm sure Jason knows half a dozen people who make hemp seed out here. But the thing that's so fascinating is I learned recently about a company that does aeroponic tower gardens, which is like a vertical growing system that doesn't use soil. And people can use it at home in their backyard. They can use it on their deck if they don't even have a yard. There's no soil needed, just air, water, and sunshine.
I want to talk to you about that later on because I'm starting a garden. I'm supposed to go set up and do the garden boxes and everything. And if I don't have to do all that.
Oh my God, this is so easy. I'm from New York City. Jason and I actually went to high school together.
Wow.
We won't tell you when, but
27 years ago.
Oh my God. So I'm not a gardener. I have no clue. I'm a city kid. And I've been growing kale and Swiss chard and tomatoes and cilantro and parsley and lettuces and spinach and on. And it's so cool because you just go out and you pick the food for your salad. And I just learned that you can I actually called Jason when I found out he was doing all this incredible stuff. And I said, can you grow cannabis in these? You know, what's possible? Because I realized that the medicinal use for cancer patients. And I actually have a dear friend who's battling breast cancer right now. And so I was really, really interested in that. So there's this huge crossover for people who are growing their own for social use or for medicinal use, and then being able to eat healthier as well. And then, it gets into this huge world of like, let's avoid those GMOs. Let's actually take back control of our food and our health and make all this really possible. And that's where we intersect.
So for me, this really made complete sense early on, right away. Because I am trying to eat better. I incorporated the hemp seed, which has already decreased my desire and craving for sugars and salty foods, which is the American diet, right? We met with a friend of ours yesterday, and I introduced Valerie to them, and they have a son who's autistic. And we're seeing that hemp seed, the nutrition, raw foods, and part of this is the tower garden, for me, ties back to eating organic foods. And what I learned was, of course, organic foods are more expensive, but because they sit in a shipping container for so long, they lose their nutrient value.
Yeah.
And all of you out there probably tried a tomato from the market and said, wait a minute, where's the flavor?
It doesn't taste like a tomato anymore.
Honestly, it's funny. It's random to say this, but I saw a King of the Hill episode once. Where Hank Hill is like, he gets talked into going to a farmer's market to buy a tomato, and he's like, whoa, what's so big about a tomato? A tomato tastes like, I'm not going to do a Henry Hill, I can't do it. But he's like, a tomato tastes like a tomato. Okay, I mean, it doesn't have any flavor. It's just a juice thing. And then he tried a tomato from the farmer's market. He's like, his eyes open wide up, and I'm like, I realize, I know it's a joke and everything, but there are a lot of people out there that don't know what a good tomato really tastes like. I grew up, my mom was Italian, she was a gardener.
Right.
She grew vine-ripened tomatoes, and we'd have them straight from there, and that's how our tomato sauce was made and all that. We called it gravy because it had meat in it.
Right.
And even still, I can say nobody makes, the gravy like my mom, or because I'd never had anybody else make it that vine-ripened tomato flavor.
It's radical. It's radical.
It's a huge difference.
I remember growing up, my grandmother lived in Long Island, and there was 2 Italian guys on either side of her house, and they would compete who would have the better tomatoes to bring to share with my grandmother. And it was like the coolest thing because they were delicious, and I've been seeking out these tomatoes. Well, now I'm growing my own, and it's really, really, really cool. And you don't need to have a green thumb. It's so simple, this thing. And so we're making, and it's affordable because organic fruits and vegetables, not only are they not vine ripened or they sit in the container too long in the store, but this makes it more affordable to actually have organic fruits and vegetables.
How much space is required to do this? Like you just named, like you do kale, you do tomatoes. What else do you grow?
This is actually the really cool part of this because it's growing vertically, your footprint is larger. Does that make sense? So you have more surface area to grow vertically than you do on the surface of the earth.
So how tall does it grow?
The The base of it is 2.5 feet in diameter. It's round.
Now,
That's where the water goes.
Now, is this per produce like that you're growing, or you can do multiple in one? You can do multiple.
The Chicago O'Hare Airport has a whole little field of these things, and it actually supports all the restaurants. So whenever you go through Chicago, you've got to check out their farmers market and the local and the restaurants that are growing their food from there.
Right. So
that's going to your plate.
See, because I haven't. I mean, I've seen it, but I didn't.
This all actually originated from Epcot. Came across this technology and has been
Tim
very,
Blank.
very interested in it, and they have a demonstration unit down there as well.
So it's a high-rise vegetable garden.
Yeah, well, it's 5 feet. It's 5
great.
feet tall, basically.
Right.
Yeah, it's 5 feet tall, and you can even get an extension. And there's 20 little holes on the 5 feet tall portion.
So on a 5 feet tall portion, how many crops or how many different types of fruits or vegetables can you grow?
Well, there's 20 different spaces, so you can grow anything in it that's not a tree or a root. So that's a lot of different fruits, veggies, and herbs, which is, I mean, there's a lot of potential. Now, we get into the conversation Jason and I were having in the car, which is a whole nother level of learning what grows well together. Like cannabis and tomatoes, for example, grow nicely together.
Cannabis and tomatoes grow well together.
Yes, speaking of tomatoes.
So we start to benefit from those cooperative growing plants. I'll call them multi-cropping instead of monocropping.
Sure. Now, what about, like, because I know I have a background in understanding a lot about wine and terroir and things like that. And one of the things that I think I mentioned this in a show a while back, where if you grow grapes for wine in a area like a Sauvignon Blanc is commonly grown in places that they used to grow like avocados or cucumbers in, you can get a little bit of that flavor. So I'm pretty sure you know what my next question is. Now, if I'm growing cannabis in the same tower as a tomato plant, is my cannabis going to taste like tomatoes?
Probably not.
Okay.
Probably not.
Because it's not in soil.
No, the roots, yeah.
And that also gets into how the hemp plant really behaves and how it
now we're getting into real farming, guys.
Yeah, I don't know
it's gone right over my head. It's a great question, though.
Just curious, yeah.
I can tell you the fruits and vegetables taste amazing, way better than what you find in the store.
Yeah, it's not like your tomato is going to taste like your cucumber either.
Right. And it produces way more and way faster than growing in soil, and more nutrients are available to benefit for your body.
Now, now this is something you're doing outside, or can you do it inside as well?
You can do it inside with grow lights.
Okay.
Okay, because we're here in Colorado. That's important.
Yeah, I mean you can't grow in the winter. So
on that note, what I really would like to throw out there, because I've been in a lot of these grow centers, you guys have a lot of extra space in some of these places that has overflow light. You can stick one of these or 10 of these in the corner and start producing food and giving it to the homeless. I really like that.
Or
idea.
your employees.
I love that idea. Are you kidding me? That's a great idea.
That's incredible.
Anything that helps us just
the
look
kids
better
involved
as an
in this.
industry.
That was the other thing, real quick, is that the kids, if you put one of these in a kindergarten, the kids participate in it. They learn about plants. For me, coming back to where I grew up, I spent a lot of time on a farm in upstate New York. I also grew up in the city. But it's something that is proactive. It's exciting to see something grow. But what happens is the kids eat it and they like it.
Well, yeah, because they're seeing that growth and they get excited. It's the same thing like when the kids get to take care of a pet in this classroom or anything like that. And I love this idea. So, we have to go because we're running over like always. How do we find out more about this? Because I really kind of wish we didn't save this the last time. It could have been the whole show.
That's okay. This is something that we really would like to talk more about in detail.
Sure.
And there's a bigger picture to this. We actually have put together a project called The Law of Living. And this involves eating right, exercise, your relationships, your financial situation, government. It's our responsibility, folks. You can't rely on the government to do these things. We are the government in this country. So we would love to come back and talk more about the details.
Well, yeah, we'll definitely have to have you guys come back on and talk about this because, this is exciting kind of stuff. One of the things that you always hear is, the lower income people in this country have a harder time eating healthy because, McDonald's and places like that and going to Walmart, it's cheap food and cheap produce that's not very good for you necessarily, or just been traveling from like a far away area. And if you're telling me that somebody, who has a hard time feeding their family and is on welfare can start growing fruits and vegetables, or vegetables at the very least, Well, tomatoes are fruit, so hey.
Both.
Yeah, you can do both.
Berries and stuff.
You can do fruits. You can.
So, if they're able to start doing this, then they're obviously saving money and they're providing a more healthful living for their children and their family. And
I have so much to say about this.
So there's two components. This company is incredible. That this project that we started, we're getting it from a company called NSA, and it's a 42-year-old company. I know we're running out of time.
Right.
So this company provides whole food capsules that are called Juice Plus. So you have fruits and vegetables in there that are absolutely the best of the best. They're vine ripened. They're minimally processed. So all the nutrients are totally bioavailable, going through the blood-brain barrier. So talk about kids. So you have either a tower garden plus these capsules, because we're not saying you can eat the capsules and hemp, and not saying you can eat the capsules to substitute for your fruits and veggies. So, but it bridges the gap for those lower income families, or even us who are busy running around not eating, 17 to 25 different fruits and vegetables per day.
Well, that's why I like to juice for that very reason.
Right, but not everybody's doing that.
Not everybody's
and
doing
that's
that.
where this comes
do
in. Yeah, and it's time consuming, expensive, et cetera, et cetera. So $1.38 a day, guys, gets these fruits and vegetables in this concentrated capsule form that's pure food, it's not a supplement, into your system, and you can sponsor a child for free. So the kids then get this nutrients for free. Then the Tower Garden's available. So we're doing events about this is really what we're going to do, just so you understand. Yeah, to educate public and just let people know, what hemp does, what's possible, create community. It's really exciting. We're all so excited.
Hempcleans.com.
So hempcleans.com is where you could reach me or Eric Hunter, our research and development director, excuse me.
Eric's awesome.
And he is. And then Linda Parker as well, who's
awesome
who's also
everybody at Hemp Cleans is awesome. I might as well just say that right now, because they all
Thank you very much. And then I'll say thank you on behalf of Eric and Linda and Sam and everybody else. Mm-hmm. What I also want to share with you is Invigorate You with the letter U. InvigorateYou.com is where you can get a hold of Valerie if you want to learn more about wellness and how it can benefit your life.
Yes.
And now you haven't created something yet for the towers?
Oh, we have actually. You can go to Invigorate You with the letter U. towergarden.com.
Okay, but if they go to invigorateyou.com, they'll be able to find it as well, correct?
Yeah, well,
I'll double check that. I'll put a link up there.
We're getting that. All this is happening so fast.
I got it. So to clarify, then you can go to invigorateyou.com to get a hold of you, Valerie. But also you can go to invigorateyou.towergarden.com to find out more about the Tower Gardens, which I'm going to be talking with you guys more about as soon as we get off the show.
Yes.
So, listen, I want to thank you both for coming on. You guys are awesome. Great.
Woohoo,
At some point, you might need to have your own show, Valerie. I can't let you have one, Jason, because you'll take over for hemp, and then I have nothing to talk about.
I'd rather be a guest.
All right, good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's more fun. I don't have to prep or anything.
You don't have to
and
prep
I can get here late.
Yeah. It's true. Well, internet radio.
Starting at 4:20 might have a pretty important.
I know.
I mean, 4:20, right?
Could.
It's sort of relevant.
It's kind of overdone, though.
Okay. All right. Well,
But at the same point,
nice to be original.
People will remember it. So thanks for listening to us. We will be back same time next week, 4 o'clock, maybe 4:10 if our guests are late again. You never know. Thank you so much, Jason. I want to also thank Ryan Laughlin for piping in, and one of the first farmers to be growing hemp industrially here in Colorado. Awesome. Such an exciting time for everybody right now. 420 was exciting. I'm more excited about what Ryan's doing and what Mike Bowman is doing.
Me too.
So thanks for listening. Until next time, peace, love, and hempiness.